open wide. Hello and goodbye. Buzz off, please. So sorry about this. Sorry, not your preferred outcome?
Hey, ladies and gentlemen, my name is Mangs, and it's time for us to get off our lazy asses and stretch our legs a bit. This is the second last spotlight of my Echoes marathon, and while he is far from my favorite unit gameplay-wise, he may be one of my personal favorites personality-wise. This spotlight goes out to none other than the lazy snake, Paison. Paison is a 25-year-old man hailing from Sofia. He is the son of a carpenter and grew up in a small village together with Forsyth. As Paison grew up, he realized that he had two choices in life, either to follow in his father's footsteps and become a carpenter, or join the army as a soldier. Forsyth managed to talk him into joining the military, although we learned that the true reason Paison joined was because the pay was simply better. While Forsyth aspired to become a knight, Paison realized that the two of them would never achieve that status, since they were of common birth. When Chancellor Desai staged his coup and killed King Lima in an attempt to overthrow the Sophian throne, the Deliverance became desperate and promised great glory and status to whoever enlisted to their cause. This led Paison and Forsyth to test their luck by joining the resistance forces, hoping to reap some benefits from the tragic events that transpired in Sofia. While Forsyth vowed to work harder than ever to achieve his dreams of becoming a knight, Paison was still skeptical and kept up his lazy habits, only working as much as he needed to and pretty much slacking off the rest of the time. In Gaiden, Paison suffers from being depicted in the same generic fashion as so many of the other soldiers of the Deliverance, simply appearing as a regular guy in the same suit of armor that almost everyone in Alm's Route wears. In Echoes, Paison actually retains his hair color, but has in return received a much more memorable redesign, with classic brown leather armor and chainmail underneath, as well as high blue boots. He is now also visibly holding a bow and a quiver, showing that he is an archer, something which was impossible to spot in his original Gaiden artwork. He has a rather indifferent look and pose, reflecting his lazy, carefree nature, yet his eyes show a spark of intelligence. In steep contrast to his best friend Forsyth, Paison is an extremely laid-back and somewhat cynical individual. He tries his best to get by with doing as little as humanly possible, and while he certainly is gifted with a lot of natural abilities, he is an underperformer who could aspire to greatness if he wanted to, but chooses otherwise, preferring to live a carefree life of rest and relaxation. However, despite his lazy, arrogant attitude, Paison is not just a careless idiot. He is extremely honest and possesses wisdom beyond his years. While his cynical worldview may come across as a bit pessimistic, he also sees a truth in the world that other people, particularly the nobles in Alm's party, are not able to. In his support conversation with Clive, we learned that Paison acts the way he does because he feels like Alm's party is already filled with pompous, hardworking, high-energy individuals, and that by acting a bit more carefree and aloof, he is more approachable to the common man. Paison is not known to lie, so we shouldn't just brush this off as an excuse. This reveals that Paison has more empathy than can be observed at first glance. In particular, he calls Clive out on his inexperience with what it's like living a life of poverty, and how he fails to relate to the plights of the common people without this knowledge. We also learn in a support conversation with Forsyth that Paison is quite happy with his own life, calling it quite grand. Forsyth refuses to believe that Paison could possibly be happy with such an existence, but Paison disagrees, recommending that Forsyth ought to try it for himself at least once. Paison has among the lowest skill growth in the entirety of Echoes, tied with Noma at 25% and only beaten by Myson with his 10% growth. Paison's American voice actor in Echoes, Douglas J. Erholtz, voices Ichimaru Jin in Bleach, Squall Leonhardt in Final Fantasy and Kingdom Hearts, as well as Asama Sarutobi from Naruto. If Forsyth dies in Echoes, Paison actually adopts his energized personality after the war, only to die in a rebellion some years later, resulting in a very tragic ending. In Gaiden, Paison is the first archer to join you on Alm's side, granted you didn't turn any of your starting villagers into one. Sadly, as a unit, he isn't very impressive. His growth rates are low even by Gaiden standards, and with a base skill of 3 and a skill growth of 15%, you'll see a lot of his shots missing. While bows have massive range in Gaiden, they are also extremely unreliable, and Paison's stat doesn't exactly help his case. While it may be amazing to have an archer that can counter in melee range and shoot up to 5 tiles away with a steel bow, you you will quickly realize that the unreliability of Paison makes him a very tricky unit to use. If you do plan on using Paison, giving him some skill boosts via a fountain is highly recommended, as skill isn't the stat that is very useful to any other classes other than archers. His high strength will allow his damage output to stay decent, but his inability to double really hampers his usefulness a lot. Upon his promotion to sniper and eventually bow knight, he might start to become a serviceable unit, at least by getting a mount and some decent mobility. Bows are also effective against gargoyles and zombie dragons, so that will definitely help out in the mid to late game, where you start encountering a lot of monsters on Alm's side. Overall, Paison is pretty shit, but so are most of the units from the Deliverance, so it's not like he sticks out all that much. In Echoes, Paison has received a massive boost to his speed growth, going from 20% up to 55%. This alone makes him a much better combat unit, as his high strength growth allows him to deal decent damage to begin with, and now he can consistently double enemies as well. He does, on the other hand, have a pitifully low skill growth of 25%, making it very hard for him to reliably land hits, and this is a big handicap in Echoes, as bows are extremely inaccurate. Again, stat boosters are a thing, and skill is definitely something you want to give to Paison, as it does little for your other units. Your magic users don't need it for their accuracy anyway, and most other classes can hit pretty reliably on their own, so whenever you do come across a skill fountain, definitely give everything you have to Paison if he's one of the units you really want to use. Because of his high strength and speed but low skill, Paison really wants a bow to help him fill out his weak spots. Early game, you might find that the steel bow is simply a bit too inaccurate for him with its 65% hits, so you might just want to give him an iron bow instead. You do, on the other hand, get access to a blessed bow pretty early on, and with its 80% accuracy and 10% crit bonus, as well as effective damage to terrors, it can do wonders for his early game. However, the best bow for him to use, aside from the ultimate Luna bow and Parsha, is most likely the killer bow, which you get from forging a silver bow. It has great accuracy and crit, two things Paison really needs, but it also gives him Hunter's Volley, which is easily one of the best combat arts for him to utilize. Paison, with his very high speed, will seldom benefit from using other forms of combat arts since they don't double, thus they won't really improve his damage output all that much. Hunter's Volley, on the other hand, doubles naturally, so it takes more advantage of his naturally high strength to inflict some very decent damage. If you don't want Paison to stay an archer, you can use one of your 3 villagers forks on him to reclass him, and this is not a bad idea at all, as long as you stay clear of the mage class, as Paison is completely limited to fire and thunder as his only offensive spells, making him rather useless. On the other hand, since his skill is his only massive issue, he can perform very good as a mercenary, soldier, or even cavalier, since these classes don't really struggle with accuracy issues, and they all benefit from Paison's innate strength and speed. However, he will be quite frail, and not suited to tanking multiple hits on the front lines. If you promoted any of your villagers to the archer class, reclassing Paison will definitely make him a better unit. If not, you probably want to keep him the same, as you really need a bow user on your team, seeing as the only real counter to enemy archers and echoes are archers of your own, at least until Alm promotes. Paison is a bit of a mixed bag. Some parts of the community hail him as a really good unit, while others state that he is utter trash. Personally, I don't view him as a very good unit at all, but this might change depending on your luck with RNG and level ups. Whatever you decide to do with this lazy stud, take care of him and he'll probably, well, to be fair, he probably won't do that much. That's kind of his gimmick. So, yeah. Just I don't know. Just don't expect too much, I guess. Thank you for watching this Fire Emblem character spotlight. If you enjoyed it, please leave a like and a comment, it really helps out the channel a lot. I would like to give a special thank you to Nasiro, who is sadly stepping down from the script reader team due to focusing on school. I am very grateful for his assistance in helping me fine-tune the scripts for these spotlights. He has a YouTube channel with a lot of shitposts if you're into that kind of thing, so I recommend you go check him out. Link in the video description. I would also like to thank my other Patreon supporters as well. Anyone of bronze tier or higher will automatically be listed at the end of my spotlights and certain other videos. I am very grateful for your continued support. Thank you so much. The beautiful art and design you see created in this video was made by my designer, Mina Tangerina, and my script editors, Nasiro and Sonagi, helped me fine-tune the script for this spotlight. As always, I hope you guys enjoyed this video. Thank you so much for watching. My name is Mangs, and I'll see you again soon. Goodbye!